Masahiro Matsuno with another play for the ages. Valeria looking long. Ball check gets open again.
The Gold Coast sun is shining. It is a morning round here in the final stages of pool play for the mixed division. And what a matchup we have on our cards. It is India versus Italy. And what a matchup to come. Myself, Hannah Penderbury, on the call alongside Ian Toner. It's been a long time, Mr. Toner, to be here in the booth with you. What are we expecting from these two big nations?
Well, pleasure to be back with you. This Italian federation has really stacked its mixed component, and they're really trying to go all in, see how much they can improve their medal chances in this division. The Indian team is the story of the tournament. Many players here competing at their first ever international tournament. They've already secured a spot at power pools. So right now, this game is all about jockeying for better position in those deeper rounds of the tournament.
Well, it has indeed been a dreamy start to the tournament for the Indian mixed team, coming out here, taking some real shock wins. Of course, that very, very tight game for the Italians yesterday against Australia. So this one, a little bit of a decider, but the wind has to be talked about in terms of the discussion overall and how both teams will cope. But let's have a look at the Italian side of things.
So coming into power pools, this is how the structure works. The top three teams from each pool advance into power pools. So right now here in mixed pool B, Australia, Italy, and India have confirmed progression into the power pools. The teams must finish top four in their 6-team power pool to reach quarterfinals. Then the teams carry a win-loss record versus those original power pool opponents into power pools. So again, both of these teams have already confirmed their spot. It's a matter of positioning as they head into that power pool. And once they get into that power pool, they will be facing opponents from Pool D, who right now include France at 4-0, Singapore at 4-0, and then that final spot, still yet to be determined, Chinese Taipei and Colombia in the mix at 2-2 and 1-3.
Well, Italy mixed, as we already mentioned, took that loss to Australia yesterday on the showcase field. Big crowds for that one. And then in terms of the big stats leaders, Elena Scazzieri, of course, coming over to North America and getting a lot of high-level elite club experience. One of two Scazzieri sisters. And, of course, a big name coming out of the Italian nation for a very long time.
Yeah, you can't deny the elite women's club experience that she's gained on the North American scene, and to be able to apply that here for her Italian side, it's going to be invaluable with pressure mounting and advancement on the line.
And then for the Indian side of things, well, of course, they have really been cruising through the stages here. Got that win over New Zealand and, of course, the People's Republic of China. And as you say, Ian, locking in that spot in the power pools where those results will carry forward. But one of the people who has been absolutely eating up the stats board for this mixed division, in fact, current joint stats leader, it's this gentleman on your screen right now, Karan Sharma.
Yeah, you mentioned it right there, Hannah. 12 assists tied for the mixed division lead. 8 goals to go along with that. Those 20 scores right near the top of the leaderboard throughout the entire mixed division. And those are better numbers than some players in the mixed division who have already played 4 games, whereas he has only completed 3. This Indian side is going to look to distribute as best it can, but early scouting indicating that they rely quite heavily on the male matching players on their offensive unit.
Absolutely. But in terms of the stars we can look to see shine in terms of the female matching side, Zagareka Premanand in the number 0. Is it a number? And of course, Becca Godino in that number 4, who you see coming out on the O-line for India. So we're getting underway. India to start out on offense.
So, Hannah, you mentioned the wind earlier, and I think a lot of the time on this field,
well, we're going to see lots of that. Big shots to the end zone and collections in it. And that's a nice clean hold for India to start us off. Krishna Damore with the goal.
Just a phenomenal start there for the Indians. Good spacing, showing that their deep attack is going to work and be viable. The one thing worth noting, you and I have both called multiple games here on this showcase field. Earlier in the tournament, the wind was challenging offenses that were attacking from left to right across your screen, but that has completely flipped. We've had some dips in temperature, we've had some intensifying wind, and now it's going to be a challenge for the offenses attacking from right to left across your screen. So this deep shot, a little easier with the wind. I would be surprised to see the Indians able to successfully execute a throw of that distance and magnitude going in the opposite direction. We'll be fascinated to see how these teams can adjust throughout the contest.
Well, we do have a little bit of cover up here in our booth, Ian, but I have to say, compared to when we were actually out on the field talking to the teams, the wind has abated very slightly. We are expecting 25 mile an hour sort of consistently. But of course, we used clicks down here in the Gold Coast. But an easy hold, nice and clean for India to start us off and settle any nerves they might feel facing up against this all-star Italian squad. For Arturo Laffi to get us started. Laffi, of course, one of those long-term La Foto players, and that's going to be a nice lead to La Gala. That iconic dino cap. Laffi backhand, and that's Scazzieri for the goal. Well, nice and smooth on the other side for our opening place.
5 goals and 1 assist coming into today's contest, and Irene Scazzieri only expected to pad those stats further as you have a look at her spacing, timing, and nose for the end zone right there. The Italians are going to need a lot more of that as they look to display confidence and toughness and bounce back from their 15-12 loss against the Aussies yesterday. Of course, the Italians had a 9-7 lead at one point in that contest, but the hometown squad riding the energy from the crowd and some superior execution on the way to victory.
So, of course, this Italian mixed side got lots of reps at the European Championships back in Limerick last year. And the wind, as we see on our screens, really starting to rip through those flags. But in terms of, yes, the Italians, it's really interesting story-wise for the Federation overall, because they never used to take mixed seriously in traditional history. Certainly we were surprised to see that outfit back in 2019 in Gurs at the European Ultimate Championships. But it is wonderful to see these athletes playing together, because most of the time they play in the Open and Women's Division, many of these Bolognese athletes. So a zone from the Italians. No surprise to see that. They have a couple of zones, 2 or 3 in the pocket, and the clipboard adjustments that the coaches make. Any team generally tends to work out the proper sky ball into the end zone, trying to drift through. The height, though, cannot be denied, and that will be taken away by Riccardo Venturoli.
Yeah, that was something that the Italians felt they had identified with this Indian offense in their pre-scouting, was if India gets a little flustered, if they don't have an easy look, they are going to look to punt relatively quickly. And you can see India has no interest in giving Italy anything close to a short field opportunity. So rather make a punt and force the Italians to work the length of the field if they can.
Yeah, you might have potentially got slightly different happenings if it was a stiller game, but certainly in this wind, if you've got the breeze at your back, you definitely don't want to give the Italians a short field, although of course many of them coming from beach hubs, especially on this line. Of course, Paganello in Rimini, one of the premier beach tournaments, but Pagano is going to support that one that just popped off the fingertips. Now Venturoli, soft inside, but that is a fantastic poach off into the lane, and India get possession back. Damor now opening up the field and into the end zone, no, just shy of the tape. Ecagolino takes the reset, and that will just be a gentle trot over the line for Maliapan. And not the clean hold, but certainly a good use of the wind and great attack. Where were the Italians?
I think that's the key to the Indian success on this point is, sure, there was a turnover. Sure, it wasn't pretty, but they were more ready to counterattack and get their foot right back on the gas pedal when the opportunity presented itself. How about the heads-up block from Ankit Lakra to get possession back for the Indians, just defending the goal line with great awareness and field intelligence. And then, like we just talked about, as we get another look at that block there, I beg your pardon, that was not Ankit Lakra, that was Sushma Tapsi. My apologies to our audience. I know we have so many Indians who have rescheduled some training sessions and are up early to tune in and catch this matchup. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so thrilled to be telling the stories of your countrymates and folks representing you, but that was a phenomenal block there by Sushma Tapsi, and Becca Godinho pushing the pace after the turnover, so critical. I think that's something the Indians are going to have to keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. You do not know, if you're from these sort of more established nations, how much it means for the younger teams to come out here and represent for their nations. So, of course, at World Clubs back in 2022, there were lots of visa issues in getting the Indian athletes out to Ohio. So we're so happy to have them alongside here as they apply a zone of their own. So mirror images so far, but will this one generate a turnover? Laffy going every other on the far sideline. And that one just gives a little bit of air. Nice and patient. Rossi now, of course, huge athlete, massive performance at the under-24 division in Nottingham last year, but it's going to be a jump over the end zone line for Andrea Fantini after the nice dish from Nicole Laffiata.
Well, so far, it's all downwind holds. The Italians did have a great opportunity to break on the previous point. All the data I'm seeing is that the first upwind break in this game is just going to be absolutely critical.
We saw that yesterday in the women's division in the battle between Colombia and Canada. When you get that upwind break, it's pretty much a 2-for-1 situation because it is so hard for your opponents to break you straight back, especially mentally. But talk us through this zone, Ian. What are you seeing?
Well, it looks like kind of a two-phase approach where there were kind of three defenders, maybe working in a quasi arrowhead at the front. That's something that I know is very popular in this region. As we take a look at the Italians having a conversation amid a timeout. Davide Mori, one of the iconic faces of Italian Ultimate. He's coached so many players to be successful on the international stage, has coached in other divisions before, and now focused on this campaign with the Italian mixed squad.
You'll see there, he has his own stopwatch. That clipboard, you can see all those kind of notes layered on top of each other. There is no coach I've seen with a commitment to statistics quite like Davide Mori. He'll take stats of, and this is one of the things I wish we collected, Ian, is out of bounds pulls. That is one of the little metrics that he puts in for kind of the D-line when the Italians are coming out. And it's just such a commitment. But yeah, your own stopwatch to like take time on possessions, bits like that. But of course, we are delighted to have a full roster of timekeepers, scorekeepers, keeping things running smoothly here. So if you hear those whistles, it is the game advisors on this showcase field letting folks know the time limits, keeping discussions nice and caught. India.
So I'd be fascinated to see what the Italian set is here, because clearly Davide Mori wants his defense to key in on something for this particular defensive point as they try to defend the downwind end zone. And there's the shot right away.
Absolutely tracking underneath it, but that is absolute perfection on the weighting and the read. And that one will go into the hands in the end zone for Karanshama. Of course, I think the Italians identifying that that's an individual they want to stop with the disc, but showing us that he can do it both ways.
I mean, if you're the Indian offense, that's kind of like a dream hold. The Italians burn an early timeout. They spend time trying to strategize, and that is literally a one-throw hold. That's as good as it gets, and you cannot underestimate the potency of the deep game here from the Indians, especially in this downwind position. No one is ever too deep. You're always going to have that wind supporting the flight path of any huck or anything that goes in that direction.
I just want to talk to you about the defensive positioning being played by Riccardo Venturoli there. Obviously, we saw him got that big high block when they were playing the zone. He was the deep selection. But on that one, spending a long time looking over his shoulder at the thrower, not really trusting the sideline to communicate if that disc was going up. And for me, that's why there was quite so much separation in the end, because he made a big play to try and swat it away, but was at least a yard too far away.
And that's a great observation, and that makes me so curious about what the call was, because I want to have the information of understanding, hey, here's what the defender was looking for. Here's what the defender was expecting. And I can see the questions that you have right there.
Well, I mean, certainly speaking to the coaches for the Italians this morning, they said if they want to throw perfect hucks, that's fine by us. But a spill and a very short field now. Huge opportunity for India, and they punch it in straight away. What an easy upwind break, my goodness. That was scenes.
Unbelievable sequence here for the Indian side. Somewhat of a gift, of course. The zone defense does end up forcing more throws that you might not necessarily want to have to complete. But that was a catchable pass. And then when they have the short field, Italy, again, not able to adjust defensively and manage the the Indian counterattack. And how about this finish? Megha Rawat finishing the score for the Indians, one of several players on this Indian side who are veterans of the Y Ultimate program, an organization that does so much work to bring Indian youth into the sport of Ultimate, teach them not just about the sport, but also life skills to improve their circumstances. Incredible moment, an incredible accomplishment for all the effort and work that they've put in. And the job's not done for the Indians, who now have that one break advantage.
Well, globally, the Ultimate community, it is more than just about the sporting performances in terms of the athleticism and the skills on display. But that's a lovely throw from Elena Bengi. Not quite going to make it to La Fiata, though. And another turnover for the Italians. Of course, one of the reasons for stacking this mixed team is about potentially trying to qualify for the World Games at the moment. Finding themselves in a tough spot, and this is what we talked about, hard to break straight back into the breeze.
Yeah, you could see the wind eating up the Italian throw, and it's making its presence known on that Indian swing as well, Hannah.
Oh, but of course, Carmen Lagala, she knows how to play in the wind, a coastal athlete coming out of Tequila Boom Boom. And a rare opportunity to see her without the hat.
Well, like you alluded to earlier, Hannah, if you're going to get the upwind break, you have to complete it by getting the downwinder as well. Otherwise, if you let the opponent score the upwinder,
it's the equivalent to them getting a break on you, but Scazzieri.
Yeah, then they're able to apply the pressure on your offense and force it to work well upwind.
Indeed, I'll tell you what, we're getting a real display here of just attention and focus, and that will be the narrative now of India being required to go back into the wind for a second time. And I'm not sure they're going to get the same level of gift that they did in the previous point.
Well, there were a few dicey moments, a turnover, but ultimately the Italians finding a way to persevere in this upwind condition and convert the hold. And now their reward for that, they get to apply the pressure to the Indians and challenge them. Hey, can you match us going upwind right now?
I'm surprised to see India concede that break straight back, just by virtue of, I think they have that little bit of an extra advantage shooting downwind in terms of when it's against the breeze, when these discs are hanging in the air. You can really clearly see from that last point the kind of range and the height on these Italian athletes. They do have that extra little bit of wingspan, and as we say, a lot of these folks grew up playing beach, so it's very difficult to try and snatch the disc away, whereas shooting downwind, I think the Indian edge is certainly speed and agility.
Yeah, I mean, I love possession-oriented ultimate as much as the next person. At a certain point, you have to consider just how much you want to be playing field position as opposed to more traditional ultimate.
Well, that is a really lovely pass taken fantastically by Sharma, and an inside forehand chasing it down. Becca Godino providing support, and well, despite all of our expectations about these windy conditions, we're getting so much quality shooting into the breeze.
Don't sleep on Becca Godino. This is a player who's proven multiple times through the opening stanza that she's willing to attack, to counterattack, to push the pace. And you can see the Italian defenders not prepared to follow her step for step. Do that at your own peril.
I mean, I've rarely seen Gaia Pancotti trailing that far behind her matchup. One of the long-term shout players, and certainly leaders of the Italians, was coaching the under-20s back in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago. But Becca Godino, of course, getting lots of experience with this Indian mixed team. Of course, that bronze medal win at the Asian Oceanic Ultimate Guts Championships back in 2019, as well as some windmill appearances in 2022 as we get some glam cam from Karan. So now it becomes all about getting a downwind break, and the offsides signaled, so opportunity for an Italian set play. Arturo Raffi taking the long walk, one of three ultimate siblings and coach of juniors back home. A little bit of a scuffle for that one for Sebastian Rossi.
I have to say, from our perch up here in the booth, our view was quite obstructed. But it looks like it was a turnover.
Wow. Well, I mean, fair cop, and a timeout being taken just to try and steady the ship. Ankit Lakra saying, let's have a quick think, because another gift from the Italians just on these errors, personal errors.
Yeah, the Indians after my own hearts as well here, calling a timeout on this opportunity and celebrating the timeout as we get another look at the Italian turnover. And yes, that did appear to be down. Great sportsmanship from the Italians. And what an opportunity here for the Indian side. It might not have happened right away, but now they can get that downwinder.
Many folks not a big fan of the in-play timeout, but this one, I think you've got good central field position. It really does have that sense of being like a drill situation. So many times you'll have that ideal positioning just outside the end zone.
No, you're right.
You're just holding. It's Mega, Lakshman, Alex playing. Sam in case for help. Sushant is first pass for Mega.
And I think the key here for the Indians is no backfield turnover. Do not concede any simple yardage. If you're at a high stall situation, you don't have a reset that's within your progression of looks, just float something up into the end zone. Give one of your teammates a chance, a prayer, and make your Italian opponents have to A, defend, and then B, work the length of the field.
Yeah, just a little bit of extra information. If you note those flags on the far side stands, it is an ever so slight diagonal right to left. So the Italians trying to make sure anything that hangs on that break side will be pushed out of bounds. Well, there is a lovely leader, and it's just about redeemed superhero style. And now, swinging it back. I have to take that one for a little bit of a walk. And just a toss pass in the end, completely blown defense on the goal line, and that one will be easily taken by Lakshman Kumar. Wow, I mean, the breaks they keep are flowing here for the Italians. They just can't catch one.
Unbelievable work by the Indians to get themselves out of a perilous, essentially not fully trap side, but kind of more realistically like a trap side situation, given the elements and the wind working against them. Coming out of the timeout, they swing it over to that right-handed backhand sideline. And once there, they had the defender of the wind supporting them, because any throw off that line is going to be difficult. So here they are, and the Indians have the disc there. And let's pause it right here, if we can. That throw off the line and the vision to lead all the way out to that open space. We'll take one more look at it if we can roll it from here. There's the grab. And if we could pause it right here, check out the discipline and the spacing by the front of the Indian stack. Everyone is preserving this space for the reset. The throw goes out there, and all of that space for India to work with. Textbook handling of a difficult downwind situation.
Yeah, you can't help but feel that maybe the Italians have some adjustments to make in terms of supporting each other from the front stack position when everyone else is in that line and not really doing too much. But Italians making it all the way to the goal line. Pretty simple. And that one, Alberto Girotto will reel in a clean hold at long last for the Italians. That's 3 clean holds, perfect conversions for their O-line, but at the moment, India on top. So I'm sure there'll be some frantic scribbling on Davide Mori's notebook. You see him just there in your shot. But why do you think we're having this lack of focus from Italy mixed? Because they're just such a well-honed unit, lots of big game experience, plenty of championships on both the club and the national team side.
You know, it's funny that you asked that question. Number one, you can't ignore the fact that one of their stars, David Barzazi, is not healthy and not playing in this game. But I've been watching a lot of Ultimate this summer, not just at the World Ultimate Championships, you know, the semi-professional scene in the United States, Ultimate Frisbee Association, and other competitions. And we've seen championship pedigree squads show up in national semifinals or championship games and just kind of lay eggs. And I've asked myself those same questions that you're asking me right now. And I think there's just something to be said for every time you step into the arena, you have competitors who have earned the right to be here. You cannot underestimate them. You have to make sure that your focus is dialed in. And even some of the best players are liable to fall victim to pressure.
Well, no pressure there, just a very isolated set of female matching athletes who let Becca Godino into the end zone with absolutely no mark whatsoever.
I mean, where's all this scouting that the Italians have done? The book is out. Don't let Becca Godino go deep.
Well, 1 point shy of taking half. And a break here would be a score double up for India over Italy. 17th seed coming into the tournament versus the 5th seed. This is absolutely wild. I mean, the Italians are going to have to do a lot to shut down Sharma in the second half because he's been all over.
Yeah, Sharma is the hub of this Indian attack and someone who's been doing a great job distributing, receiving. I don't think the Italian defense has really found the right answer, not necessarily from a one-on-one matchup perspective, but from a strategic adjustment perspective. Hey, how do we limit his impact in the context of slowing down that offense as a whole? Number one, they can be a lot quicker on taking away his options by staying with the receivers that he's trying to target downfield. So many times the likes of Becca Godino and others have just been able to sneak free when they shouldn't.
Yeah, it does have to be a full team stretch. Of course, Sharma having played for over half his lifespan, 12 years catching and throwing discs. So that one is going to be scooped up. No, it's not. Just narrowly misses the redemption bid, does La Fiata, and another Italian turnover.
This is unbelievable. The Indians with a chance to break, to take half and double up the Italians.
Well, this is magical stuff. Maybe there's an extra bit of support all the way from the Indian Federation, just going out of bounds on the near sideline, but that looked like such a lovely shot. Upsay finding a great channel to hit and the creativity on that throw.
Well, that's the difficulty of the upwind direction, right? You're able to see the distance, but the accuracy pushing it out of bounds.
Well, Italians going straight to the other end. And a strong catch for Girotto. An easy footwork. Say easy footwork. That's a full flop out of bounds. Just dragging that toe over the line. But La Fiata backing it up. And that will keep the half alive. But that looked very scary for Italian fans.
Well, we'll have to remember that sequence if this game really does come down to the wire. If the Italians are able to mount a significant comeback, because that's a pretty large opportunity missed for the Indians, but they still do have a fair bit of momentum. They're going to be traveling downwind. Just have to convert a competent hold here, because it looks like we've got another timeout call.
Well, you've got them to burn at this stage in the game. Of course, you'll get a reset of those timeouts, 2 per team per half. So why not have a moment to just resettle and reconfirm the game plan to get another look at that grab from Andrea Fantini. But you got a little bit up close and personal with during the warm-up, Ian. They were very locked in, those Italians.
Oh, my goodness. I thought I was just having a leisurely conversation with the coaches, trying to gather some information, and little did I know we were standing right in the path of some of the warm-up drills, and got myself a couple Charlie horses on my leg. Just getting absolutely taken out. That's on me for not being aware of my surroundings while the competitors warming up.
Everyone thinks it's easy being an ultimate commentator, but truly we are in the danger zone. But at the moment, looking at the potential for an 8-5 scoreline, I don't know how it is for you folks in the USA, Ian, but 8-5 seems to be one of the most dangerous halftime scorelines there is.
Yeah, that can lead to a little bit of complacency, and there's just enough fight left in the trailing team. They're just close enough that they've got that extra motivation. You know, it's just amazing to see India in this position, because I'm thinking earlier stages in this tournament, we were all unbelievably impressed with their ability to knock off New Zealand. And now that's looking like something that we should have expected. And now their ability to potentially take a halftime lead on Italy is forcing us to reconsider, hey, is this team a medalist contender? Do we need to be reconsidering how we view the Indian Federation on the mixed side?
Well, I mean, this is one of the joys of a world championship. There really are so many elite teams at this level. Certainly some of the European nations we expected to fly high here in the Gold Coast, finding some struggles along the way. And it just really shows the determination. I know you mentioned the program, of course, many of these teams, Indian team coming through. And in terms of the ability to get that kind of elite level sports nutrition, for example, training facilities, that just doesn't exist for them.
No, and to take it one step further, there are players on this team who at 12 years old were addicted to nicotine and smoking every day.
Well, certainly some smoke signals in the end zone there.
And now these Indians have learned important life skills like conflict resolution, health, as we listen in.
Okay, so from my perspective, you initiated the contact as you're both going for the disc, and you're behind Team India player. So that's my perspective.
We can see the video if you want.
Yeah. No, there was a contact, but you were also slowing down.
Yeah.
I mean, you see you're pushing with your hand too?
I'm just taking my...
Just for rule clarification, he's allowed to slow down as long as you're both going for the disc. Yeah.
I don't understand.
Okay, foul call, contested.
That's bad stuff from the Italians. That is to be clear, the Indian receiver is allowed to maintain position. Did not initiate contact, kept on his own path, and the Italian defender mauled him and completely ignored the game advisor, the replay that was shown several times. That is embarrassing from the Italians.
Well, yes, certainly there is the video board, and Mastriani clearly showing frustration here.
Well, he shouldn't even have a chance at the disc because that should have been a foul in the end zone.
No, I agree with you. The replay was very, very clear, and we do have the not quite jumbo-sized jumbotrons, but certainly large replay monitors just outside of our camera view for the players to review the footage. And I mean, that was a big old cuddle in the end zone, and not in the good way.
I mean, coming into his back, draping his arm over the receiver's arm. Gonna try to do my best to move on here.
It's the pressure. At the end of the day, I'm sure the Italians woke up this morning and did not expect to find themselves in this spot, but you've got to catch those Ds, because underneath it, of course, undeniable excellence. This time it's Sagarica Ramanand. And as Mastriani wanders off the field, I'm sure the feelings are really getting in there.
Don't look now, but the Indians are in the driver's seat to take the 2 seed coming out of Pool B and heading into mixed power pools.
Absolutely. They really are just dominating in terms of the throwing execution in the wind. We know they don't have a heck of a lot of breeze to play with back home in India, but they have adjusted to these conditions perfectly. So looking at the numbers from this game, Ian, anything standing out for you?
I've got my eye on the fact that Italy, while they did only have 1 break chance, they have not been able to convert a single break. They were in the red zone with that 1 opportunity, unable to do it.
Well, let's go and listen in and find out a bit more about the background from the Indians.
Hello, my name is Ankit Lakra and I'm 22 years old and I'm from India, Delhi.
My name is Megha. I'm from Delhi.
My name is Lakshman Kumar Rai.
Hi, my name is Kalpana Bish.
I found the ultimate frisbee sport when I was 11, and I found it through my brother, elder brother. He also used to play in park, so he introduced me and tell me like go enjoy. So my family was not supporting me. So because I was going and playing with boys, mostly like I was giving up. But at that time I pushed myself and like I learned how to deal with it and how to not give up, and I learned like communication skills and like lot of things. So ultimate means a lot for me.
So I have an anger issue, and after playing ultimate frisbee my anger issue became lesser and lesser.
Being here it's like my dream come true moment, because this is my first ever international tournament. So because of many things, one of the main reason is the financial. So thanks to Y Ultimate for sponsoring us for this WUC.
Well, messages to the world and the fans back home. India in charge here, 8-5 coming out into the second half. glorious scenes of the Gold Coast, and India flying high over the Italians, who are really just struggling with so many of these personal errors. Well, I can see Davide Mori walking towards our headset, ready to give us his perspective from the coaching side of things. But Ian, what's your call so far on this first half?
It looks like India is a little hungrier and more alert on the counterattack, and frankly, their deep game is just clicking.
Well, Davide Mori, thank you so much for joining us. At the moment, so many personal errors for your team. What do you think is causing that?
Yeah, the problem was that in the momentum of the beginning, we were earlier in the beginning with a chance to break, similar to yesterday against Australia, we instead to manage the disc right in front of the end zone and give a push pass inside. We decided to close the point quickly. We have this quickness behavior to want to close the game quick, want to close the point quick. The offense basically have two mistakes, unlucky or maybe wrong choice. In defense, like we spoke yesterday, we have to be more pull down a little bit the aggressivity to score and go closer and play with an easy pass.
Davide, the Indian deep game has been really potent so far in the first half. What can you do to slow that down here in the second?
Now we tell everyone to compress D instead to from the back, instead to try to do switch with the deep switch. And also we said if you want to go no under, deny the undercut, and the guy or girls go deep, you must stay half meter away from him, like the last one. The girls, Margherita Giovannini was no under, but she was at least 30 centimeters away from the receiver and she touched the disc. Like this I like. I don't like in the first half when you have seen people free by 10 meters.
Right.
Compress when the disc in number 26 and is a good player, the best we know. And avoid the quick point. This is the problem.
It's clear that you're getting some frustrations out of your roster, Davide. In terms of mentally resetting and getting that focus back in, what is your messaging in the huddle?
I use the metaphor of the elephant. I said if you want to eat an elephant, you have to eat slowly, in little pieces. You cannot pretend to win a game, to deserve a game, because now India is deserving for sure. You need to cut the elephant in little pieces, eat slowly. You cannot enter like now today I eat everything in 1 minute. No, you have to work. It's a long game. I think we still have 45-50 minutes, and everyone is step by step. Let's see if they can challenge us. We have to give them a good game, and after maybe, if we deserve, we can win. If you deserve.
That's a very good point, Davide. Still lots of game left to play. Thank you so much, and good luck for the second half.
Ciao, grazie.
Well, certainly the Italians finding themselves in a tough spot here as we get the opening ball of the second half from the Indian players.
Be fascinated to see how these teams adjust. Will the Italian defense actually compress the way Davide Mori wants? Will the Indians continue to execute downwind deep without difficulty?
Well, that was going to be a discussion on the out-of-bounds call. Helene Scazzieri with an incredible adjustment as the wind just took it away, but Lafayette with the drop afterwards. Costly errors coming out of personal performances here. But it's not just individual players kind of coming across the board for the Italian O-line, but there is the pressure from Scazzieri's close defense and the spill out of the hands of Kapner. Just about grinding it through. Well, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. And Helene Scazzieri puts the Italians on the board with a hold in the second half.
My goodness, that was not exactly the confidence-inspiring start that I can imagine the Italians wanted. Forcing Scazzieri to make an incredible catch. And then another unforced error. And fortunately for the Italians, the Indians were able to just gift it right back. But then this shot to the end zone should have been blocked. There's something off with this Italian offense. And I know we need to be able to diagnose it. But when folks are just dropping resets and throwing into defenders, it feels like there might be some kind of either focus or nerve issue that is impacting their ability to execute at a high level. And the best we can do is speculate.
I suppose there's perhaps a kind of question of longevity of the cohesion. As we already mentioned earlier in the call, this Italian team and the Italian Federation at large, we're only just starting to see in maybe the past 5 years them really kind of showing us what they can achieve in the mixed division. And certainly for many of these athletes, you're usually seeing them playing for the open teams, for the women's teams that have very, very strong reputations. So maybe it's just that extra bit of cohesion, because of course, in contrast, in India, they only play mixed. So maybe that giving them that little bit of extra finesse and polish in terms of when the heat rises, just being able to connect with each other and rise to the fore. But Charlotte now smoothly moving it.
Already seeing more insistence on staying on the goal side and backing the Indian receivers for the most part. There are 1 or 2 cuts that are sneaking away downwind, but off that initial set.
Oh, that's a beautiful break, arcing all the way across. Really, I'm just really enjoying how the Indian team are using that break side, and they race to the front cone, and beating Sivarossi to that space is no mean feat. But the creativity and the channels being chosen right now by the Indian handler set is so impressive. The maturity to throw that arcing one with the breeze behind it. The execution of that throw in, for me, the difficulty rating to have exactly the right tilt on it so that it doesn't end up being picked up on the underside of the disc. Very, very impressive.
I'm 100% with you, Hannah. Just talking with the Indian leadership, they mentioned they don't get a ton of reps in the wind. They did have one windy scrimmage against France beforehand. And here's another look at this throw. The Indians on the attack, and let's pause it right here if we can. Look at the discipline and the spacing from this Indian side. There's all kinds of dead space right over here, and the Indian attack is allowing and making space for each other, so we can roll it right here. That space opens up, and it's just a trust back shoulder throw, just perfectly executed by this Indian side. Wonderful, wonderful job.
Well, I'm wondering if we might see a reappearance perhaps of the zone from Italy. That one, just a little bit of extra wind analysis there from Arturo Laffi as he brings that pull back in bounds to the brick mark.
Yeah, reminder for those of you just tuning in, if you caught other games on this field earlier in the tournament, the teams that were traveling from right to left across your screen were the ones working in the downwind condition, but now it's the teams traveling and attacking from left to right working downwind today.
Well, I love this from the Italian offense as we get a great layout from Gasparini. Just that kind of confidence now, a couple of bigger scoop passes in the breeze, and that will be a whistle clean hold. Lagala catching in the end zone just to finish us off. But that one again, so that's more confident, way better connections, cohesion, and it just looked patient. There wasn't really anything forced. There was a moment of pause just before the end zone line to really just kind of reconfigure, but that's a good confidence building point for the Italian O-line.
I'm with you, Hannah. That was one of the most poised possessions we'd seen. Of course, we had that one layout grab to save possession there, but for the most part, that unit was just getting the looks and the spacing that it wanted. And that is what the Italian side needs after all of the struggles that this offense has had through the first half plus of this game. And now they need to find a way to put on that pressure and generate at least one upwind break.
Well, when they've been punching in the offensive holds, the Italians haven't exactly been taking their time with it. The longest point we've had so far in this game was that break of score to take things to 6-3 when things went in favor of Team India. rapid pace for the Italians. When they turn it over, it's usually a pretty quick counter response. They can keep punching those in, and this game could end quite quickly, despite what Davide Mori, of course, said. Plenty of clock left. Still, the break chances not coming for the Italians. Gentle stroll to the brick mark. Back in play, I guess.
Godinho's loose again.
Certainly is, and that's great pressure downfield, and finally the Italians get a block. Nice and clean, Ivan Cantu swiping through. Now, can they do anything with it? Just got to keep it in the bird box, but that one just sails a little bit too high on the tilt. Even Scazzieri can't rip it down. So a second missed break opportunity. Bit of power line action, perhaps, seeing Scazzieri on this line, but we know she's got the legs. Now, oh, what a feisty shot. No man's land, the eventual landing space. But Damore there, just trying to go through everybody.
Yeah, an opportunistic defensive handler set switch or flash poach from the Italians, causing a little bit of chaos.
But they can't get really any distance from their own end zone line. And that's a big old Bosch on the mark.
What's going on here with the Italian defender?
I'm really surprised. I've watched a lot of Mastroianni's games, and he does not normally behave in this fashion. I think maybe some of the heat getting to him this morning. Heat in a literal and metaphorical sense as they ignite Sebastian Rossi in the end zone, and at long last the Italians will get themselves a break to try and move back into the standings. Ventiroli with an easy catch. You can see a lot of frustration on the body language.
Well, that point is an illustration of just how quickly a team's fortunes can turn in this game. We're trading red zone, goal line drops, and simple turnovers back and forth as we get another look at that wonderful block there by Ivan Cantu. And here's that shot. It was the flash poach from the female Italian defender that forced that ambitious crosswind look. And then at the end of the day, the Italians maybe taking a little bit of a page out of the Indian D-line offense playbook and just counterattacking, not giving any other opportunity for more folks. The fact that they were able to execute that huck in that upwind direction and put enough touch on that finishing throw into that upwind end zone, very impressive execution for the Italian D-line offense, and they need to build on that momentum and that confidence and apply pressure on the Indian offense that is now going to be traveling upwind.
Well, we are finally getting a little bit of a viewing of some of the class that we expect to see from these Italian players. You talk about throwing into the breeze. Certainly this handler set really just very, very high level. So it's nice to see them be able to execute that one. And certainly Sebastian is one of the folks you're going to see be able to rip those down and do the job that perhaps David Barzazzi would have done if he was in full form. But that's going to be a leader into the breeze that just goes a little bit too far. Karan Sharma tries to get underneath it.
You could see even at the outset of that possession, the Italians, even defending upwind, were still insisting on backing the Indian receivers.
Giovannini unable to rise up and grab that one. The pace of the downwind throws, if they just rise in the breeze. I mean, to be fair, that's not the first time the Italians have come unglued just by virtue of that extra bit of wind getting involved. Perhaps a little bit of lady luck getting in the mixer as well as just the abilities on the field. That's a big ripper backhand. There is space underneath it, and a game of pinball for one. not quite in bounds, but great support. And an accepted foul.
Well, you can see in this upwind direction, the Indian offense, for the most part, is a two-man game, but a third receiver getting involved there, Krishna Damore.
Wow, that throw was absolutely something. The flexibility and strength of the wrist tilt to apply that directly into the wind. Woof.
Well, multiple times this point. Sushma Tapsi, I beg your pardon, Ankit Lakra, just having nothing but eyes for Karan Sharma, one of the leading scorers in the mixed division. And I think the Italians have gathered enough data points to understand, hey, if the Indian offense is working upfield, we just have to find a way to limit the impact of those two. And oh my goodness, we've got Italian teammates yelling and pushing each other on the sidelines.
Well, we saw a little bit of that action in an earlier shot in where Seba Rossi came off the line after having just gotten the break. Just coming off and having a lot of attitude, and that's two of the coaches, obviously Davide Mori and Kron, perhaps getting a little bit hot-headed on the sidelines. Of course, we know that sometimes the Italian coaches, that passion really does bubble over.
Yeah, I saw a male matching player who I believed was Gasparini pushing a female player away in frustration, and I did not see the entire interaction, so I don't want to mischaracterize it, but...
Well, over the top goes Kamalagala, keeping hands over and away from everybody else, and a big cuddle, Scazzieri. Well, that's more like it. That's what we want to see out of a team, is players cuddling each other to celebrate a goal rather than anything untoward. So, certainly an Italian hold will steady some of the nerves. But I tell you what, some of the numbers from this game, Ian, are starting to really, really become the story of the tournament.
No question about it. The Indian attack, headlined by Karan Sharma. He now has 27 scores through 4 games, leading all players in the mixed division.
I wonder how that stacks up across versus the Open and the Women's division, Ian. We'll have to do our research and find that one out, perhaps for our wrap-up show later on today, which will also be free to view on YouTube. And that is a ball that comes down to earth like a rocket. Good fielding, though. Staying connected. And that's the shot out of the box. Oh, my goodness. Well, this is going to be a battle and a half underneath it. Fantastic read, but Joes goes up a little bit too early.
The Italians traveling downwind now, and they can't make the most of this opportunity.
Well, I tell you what, if any of the male matching Italian players are frustrated at their female matching players, I think maybe they need to control some of these discs a little bit better. They're throwing so high at their female counterparts. That is a big shot, though, arcing into the end zone, and fantastic effort. These teams really now finding the measure of each other and going toe-to-toe. But Cantu, who got that first block for the break, paying dividends.
And if the Italians are going to learn anything, they've had so much difficulty executing simple unders here near their own end zone. Just punt, man. Just get the disc further away from their own end zone.
Fucking D, mate. That one does get solid yardage, though, 3/4 of the field length. But maybe throw it to someone.
Yeah, or just hang it and make sure it covers the length of the field. That one was a little puzzling on my part, as the Indians, in my estimation, wisely elect to call a timeout here.
Yeah, we need to get a little bit of respite and rest And I've noticed that the Italians have started to pull out a couple of power lines. Sebastian Rossi there in the number 8. Of course, you're used to seeing him coming out on offense, but he has been pulled across for, I think at this point, triple duty in the last couple of this game.
It's a lot to ask when he has to just be chasing receivers who are sprinting 70s back and forth up and down the pitch.
I mean, he's used to it, to be fair. That is the role he plays for the Italians. But as we have a little look at the sideline.
Alex has the disc, current dump.
At the moment, India leading that one break over their opponents. But of course, they started this game on offense. So trading out means an Indian mixed win.
And the number of downwind break chances that they've let go to the wayside is just, I understand it's difficult to execute in these wind conditions, but it's been inability to connect on a 10-yard under going downwind. And I think Italy just has to either dial it in or adjust its game plan in those D-line offense situations in order to give itself better field position and better opportunity to claw back in this contest.
Well, at the moment, it's less about slicing up that elephant, to hark back to what Davide Mori, the coach of the Italian mixed team, was saying to us. And I think more just about, you know, getting the napkin out and just dabbing the sweat and all of these negative emotions off of their heads, because the focus on the sidelines, the emotions bubbling over, I think that's really playing into the minds of these athletes.
There's no question. I am not one who has spent any kind of significant time with the Italian side, but just observing the body language on the sidelines, the frustration coming off the field, it's looking like they're having difficulty controlling their emotions in this pressure-packed setting.
And it's not the people you would be used to seeing, but we'll talk about that in just a moment, because India now racing away. A little bit of a miscue, but great adjustment, reaction underneath it. Laksa again delivering when the team need him to. High grab for Pamanam. And a little slap through, and that is enough from Rossi.
There we go. Smart decision there from Rossi.
Well, especially when you see who's underneath it, and that is a beautiful leading pass. Great confidence and hold. Gaia Pancotti for the goal off the throw of Lagala. Oh, I take that back. That's a 37, not a 32. That's Elena Bengi, who we've actually... She's been really quiet this game, and I am surprised to see it, because when you talk about Italian female matching power throwers, Elena Bengi is a player I have never seen look flustered, even remotely.
Well, I just love the strategic adjustment here and the decision-making from Rossi. Not wasting any time. We're not going to dilly-dally and try and dink and dunk up the field. I'm just going to take a shot. And his Italian teammates providing the necessary outlet to stretch the field on the counterattack, and they are rewarded for their efforts. We now are all knotted up at 2 breaks apiece, and the pressure is back on the Indians.
We knew coming into this game, Ian, that the Italians were going to try and rely heavily on their female matching players. They had identified these really fantastic connections between the male matching players on the Indian team. But I think it's been really interesting, because we've seen a lot of male matching handlers picking up the disc. It would be really, for me, I would love to see more of their female matching handler set. They've got some really strong throwers picking up the disc and seeing what they can do reversing that connection.
Yeah, it's something to consider. I'm curious about their power in the upwind direction. And that's not to say that I question it and out of hand think it's impossible. I just want to see how that compares, and if that gives a defense an opportunity to cue in a little stronger and say, hey, I can just sit underneath this person because I don't know that the disc can go quite as far. I'm speculation on my part.
With my intimate knowledge of the European scene, I have to say, from watching teams like Tequila Boom Boom and BFD Shout playing, certainly we've seen some windy games back home on our continent that we hail from. And that's why I think it's an interesting one. Because certainly that's what the coaching set were kind of looking for coming into this game. And it just seems to be one of the patterns, as I say, perhaps some, interplayer frustrations on many of these underneath passes that have just been a bit too high to handle going over the heads. But of course, the wind has been, I think, more of a factor getting involved in some of the throws of this Italian side. Just those little bobbles in the wind, which you just haven't seen from the Indians, considering how little wind they have back home. Many of these Italian players from coastal parts of Italy. The big boot, it's got a lot of coastline to play with. That pull goes directly into the floor. Well, we're getting some weird spills, and that one, very strange indeed. 33 kilometers per hour. Well, talk about that gust of 44 kilometers per hour, and both teams having some struggles. Turns out you don't need to have a big pull to get a block, but that one will sail all the way out of bounds. I wonder how this wind compares to that extremely windy Colorado Mountain College Nationals way back when.
Oh my goodness. Or the UFA Championship in Salt Lake City just a few weeks ago. The Indians trying to get themselves out of Callahan country here, and this is feeling eerily reminiscent of conditions that force people to just simply play field position and not play strategic ultimate. The Indians cannot afford a short field turnover here.
Oh, it's strategic here, just in a different way. So Italy applying a zone. I think that is a solid idea, trying to slow down the Indian flow. Now using the give-go action, a little fine, delicately slicing through. So trying to make India throw around them, and that one, a little bit of body language saying, where was my support on the sideline? Didn't know that that athlete was coming through, but
I mean, I would never know coming into this tournament that the Indians didn't have significant wind or zone reps. Their ability to find chemistry and play with pace against the Italian zone is just unbelievable. Unfazed by the challenging wind conditions. I know they were technically going downwind there, but that was a high-pressure possession. They could not afford a turnover. There were a couple low throws near their own goal line, but they're knifing through the front of this Italian set and essentially giving and going and moving with pace, not giving this Italian set any chance to regroup. Look, that unit is basically gassed, just trying to play catch-up. At the end of the day, these Italian set, if they're going to stick with the zone and not transition out of it, they've got to recover more quickly and get upfield of and to the goal side of the ball more quickly.
And I mean, Karan Sharma wasn't even involved in that handler set. Difficult to see sometimes, especially on that side of the field, the jersey numbers, to give the due credit to the players sort of, giving and going. But I think certainly with this very short O-line, that is really just cohesion for days. So now a zone of India's own. This one way more passive. And I think that is a great idea. Make the Italians throw high numbers laterally. Try and build the fort around them. Now we see a little bit more of a flex as it gets towards the sideline, trying to push them. That is the weaker side, a slight diagonal to this downwind possession. Near to far side on our camera view. A little bit of a point in front as the jaws of the zone. Excellent reactions to try and stop the around swing, but now they get it to Elena Bengi. And talk about smooth throws. That's lovely to Lagala. Easy dish. Fantini. Oh, that one's a bit spicy. And Elena Bengi unable to keep possession as she hits the deck. And India now looking for a huge break opportunity.
Another situation where the Indians can't afford a short field turnover. What throwers can they rely on this line?
Well, that's going to be a big boost Sometimes, and that makes it all the way. Lakshman Kumar, wow.
Unbelievable read there by Lakshman Kumar Rai. Just didn't feel the pressure from the defender. Said, hey, I'm just going to size up this maximum time aloft huck.
Oh, that is going to be called the strip. Excellent work from Fantini, but I think just a millisecond too late.
Yeah, phenomenal effort and great sportsmanship there, acknowledging and not contesting the foul right away.
Yeah, Sushil Manavan definitely looked like he had possession. So just confirming the positioning of all the players on the field. Hee-jong, our game advisor, just trotting off the field. And Yevanan. Call away from the disc. Of course, back in India, many of these players are more widely known by just their first names. And we are delighted to have so many folks watching back home. And you, wherever your home is. Be that near, far.
So Samat Anand Ayer is having a conversation with Alberto Girotto. I believe Ayer called a foul, and Girotto contesting.
And immediately throwing to the end zone, and Arturo Laffi with a slap away.
And look at Laffi motioning for someone to go to the house right away.
It's a really good idea, although, of course, we did see...
How does that... Again, you can't give those turnovers with that short a field.
Well, that one is a grind to get the disc back, making up for the error. Andrea Fantini. Well, I think, for me, Ian, you've got to start really identifying on your Italian roster who is having a good day at the office and who is having a bad day. Bench those players who are making the errors and let these ones shine. That's a beautiful throw to Irene Scazzieri. Fantini backing it up. So bookends for the number 77 and a spike emphatically to celebrate it.
A game-saving effort there from Fantini, who got his hand on what would have been a sure score and then pushed the pace, took off downfield after the huck went up. I think the Italians just have to identify, you know, I don't want to completely disagree with you that maybe there's a conversation to be had about some players may not need to see the field. I think there's got to be a strategic conversation of who has a green light to throw unders or resets and who otherwise just has to punt every chance they get, especially going in that downwind direction, because the Indians were so close to multiple upwind breaks that could have spelled doom for the Italians in this contest. Fortunately, their defensive ability giving them new life as the point went on, and Fantini capping it off and tying this game up.
Well, we do get the full depth of stats on our side of things, and I have to say there are a couple of hot spots on this Italian roster, and it's not the people who are the big distributors, it's not the people necessarily getting lots and lots of touches, and it's certainly, I mean, it's no disrespect to any people on the Italian roster. You can have a great game where you're absolutely on fire, and you can have a game where it's not your day.
Yeah, you just might not be in form.
And I think maybe there are some folks who are surprising at the moment. And it may be a case of leaning on stars, though, of course, both teams in the power pool stages guaranteed, so perhaps thinking more widely about the tactics of leaning on the top of the roster. Certainly that's why David Barzazzi is not here, but another goal. This one for Karan Sharma. There'll be a little bit of discussion on it, but just an easy toss pass from Malapan.
What? Is there an Italian defender that was absolutely nowhere near that throw calling a pick? What play did that Italian defender who was not guarding Sharma have on the disc? Are you really?
I mean, you've got to give the respect to the players on the field if they think they can get in there.
Here, did you run through here?
No,
Okay,
Sharma came from the dump set.
Oh, so this would have been a peel-off block potential.
Let's.
No, but you're calling pick on her? Okay. Okay. And
so if we can roll it from here. There's 26, the thrower. Go ahead and roll it. There's Sharma. He's in the dump set. Pause it right here. The pick is happening right here, if you bear with me 1 second, right here in the middle of the field. And Sharma is attacking this narrow space here. You can roll it from there. I don't understand how Cantu is not guarding, who's not anywhere near guarding Sharma, is claiming that he's going to get there and make that play.
Okay.
In what world is that going to happen?
I understand what you're hearing. It has been 45 seconds. Okay. Since we can't come to a resolution, could we treat the call as treated? Do you have a perspective? Yes. Oh no, please. Yeah.
I think it was pretty far. So maybe switch.
Okay. All right. So
I don't know if how much time.
So your own teammate is saying.
It was a lot of time before.
That's not a door of opportunity, is it?
How?
Can I? Sorry.
No, it has to be unless you go into.
I mean, we could throw up the replay on the board once more, and I'll circle it again. And so Sharma, pause it right here. Here's Sharma. He's attacking this space right here. Here is where the defender got picked. You're telling me that he's going to close that space?
No.
Right there?
No, it has been 45
Let's roll it from here.
We have
well, especially with the finishing position, right? Seba Rossi in that shoulder. At what? Even if you think you can have the closing speed to get there
from someone in the middle of the
underneath it, if you think you can get there, there's no window because Seba Rossi's body's in the way.
Yeah.
It's been 45 seconds.
That's got to be a goal.
It's retracted.
Okay. Thank goodness.
Retracted.
Thank goodness.
Well, most spirited player of the match award officially goes to Sebastian Rossi for stepping in there and just saying, what are you on about? That wasn't possible. It's a goal.
Yeah, no. So excellent recognition.
And also, I mean, we to be fair, probably I'm giving that award not just because of this one isolated play, even though it is a great use of teammates saying, hey, you know what? This is my perspective, and I really think you should retract that call. But also earlier on, there was that down call where he was immediately accepting of the perspective of the opposition. He's been really working hard out there on the pitch, and certainly some moments of frustration for Sebastian Rossi. But the Indian team currently, Team India on fire and just looking really just chilled, having a great time out here. There's no frustrations for them, even in the moments where they find themselves not coming out on the, on top of things.
No, couldn't agree with you more. Hats off to Rossi, maintaining sportsmanship and integrity with pressure on the line. I just love the vibes that we're getting from this Indian squad. I'm not seeing any sense of pressure or tightness. They are just relishing the moment and the opportunity that stands before them here.
So the Italians trying to just stay close in this game. They're going to need to find one extra break as Bengi surveys the field. Girotto arcing it over the top. Nice find for Fantini. Bagala through. And the extra bit of long jump action hangs on to the disc all the same. Andrea Fantini, well, talk about a high workload. 1 block, 3 goals and 2 assists so far. Really having an impact. So all level up at 12s, and it's nice to see the Italians picking a leaf out of the Team India playbook and going for some of these curving shots in the breeze.
No, it's a great comparison, and the Italians ultimately proving that, hey, maybe some of our earlier errors are out of our system. It's hard to know what to expect from this group. We've seen some poised play, we've seen some understanding of the win, and then we've seen some just inexplicable miscues. But with the pressure mounting, drawing closer to the conclusion of this match, that's really, really, really strong response there from the Italian offense. And hats off to that group for finding a way to get that composure and finish.
Well, now it's about just making sure that that composure stays strong. Let's get a little view of the great British women readying for their live stream appearance in the next round. Of course, it's been a very difficult campaign for them, but focusing back on the pitch and the teams in front of us. Nice isolation coming out from deep for Kaman Sharma. Now Lakra, easy dish through. Pause on Godino with a, is that a pick or a foul?
I didn't see the initial call.
From the body language of Pancotti, I think that might be a foul. Nice grab, just saving. So, Sharma not springing up immediately. Just checking himself and his shoulder.
No call? Okay, sorry, yeah. You stop? Injured? No?
Just feeling, but...
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there was no contact. Does he have to burn a timeout if he doesn't take an injury?
He can resume, unless he's going to call it injury.
Well, it was sort of like a hesitant hand signal, so I'm not sure if he actually made the call of injury. But as you say, if there's no contact and you call injury, I do believe you have to leave the field.
It was my understanding of when that came into play yesterday in the France-Colombia mixed game, but back in live action.
Well, that would certainly be someone you don't want coming off the pitch, but a turnover. Krishna Damore unable to reel that one in. And the Italians making short work of it. Seba Rossi going over the top and then just cool and smooth, popping it in, but that's a costly drop. Riccardo Venturoli.
Oh my goodness, that would have been Italy's first lead in the second half. And
well, it might get a call to bring it all the way back. Of course, didn't affect the players upfield.
Hang on, if there was a call, but Rossi caught the pass.
Okay. What's the call? It was a travel call? Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a foul, an offensive foul call, excuse me.
Travel call? Here. Yeah, it was caught, yeah.
That's actually an accurate call, thanks to the work of our crew, getting a camera on there and the replay queued up.
Well, we are getting a second chance, but the defensive block, Ankit Lakra with great eyes on it, denying Seba Rossi. Big effort. And a bit more contact from Andrea Mastroianni. A violation as players not resetting upfield. A little bit of a cluster, not quite the same level of discipline we've seen from India in the previous stages, so they're just going to chuck it to the end zone and hope, and the wind getting impacted. And just a check on the shoulder. Great effort from Riccardo Venturoli in the perfect space to apply the pressure.
My goodness. Not a good sign for the Indians. That's, I believe, Krishna Damore going off with the injury, clutching his shoulder coming into today. Another one of those top producers. Had 9 assists and 7 goals through 3 games of competition.
Well, let's hope that it's just needs to pause and just attend to that one. Certainly, it was a big layout bid for both of them, so I don't think just by virtue of contact, it was just the Win shoving the disc down the first.
Agreed.
We've really seen that Team India getting their discs impacted, because it's happened a lot to the Italians, it has to be said.
You're right. Mastriani has also successfully pulled off at least one powerful upwind rip, so I'm excited to see what decision he makes here.
He's going to do it again. That one sailing high, though, and taken away. Good blocking out. Sushant Tapse.
So the Indians are asking if that disc ever came in bounds from the point of release.
Well, if it made any contact with Tapse, of course, that would be coming in from where he touched it, because defenders are always in bounds.
My vision was blocked where the contact happened. So
like there was contact on the hut.
On the throw?
He says he was just there, but I
just took my foot. First he pushed the hand and then he.
So it looks like Mastriani is calling a foul on the huck at the point of release.
Anybody else had a perspective? Was he not moving when the contact happened? Any perspective? Yes. Okay, so I think you're saying he did not initiate contact. So anyone initiate contact?
Yeah, tough to tell from our perspective.
Okay, so foul call, retracted, stays.
That's incredible spirit there and sportsmanship from Mastriani, taking the inputs and the perspective of others on the field and reversing his call.
We love to see it.
At a critical juncture in this game.
We love to see it. Of course, you know, we gave him a hard time earlier.
Yeah, and hats off to Mastriani on that instance.
Well, like many of the Team India players said in their interview.
Oh my goodness, that was so close to Sharma putting him on a poster.
Have a little discussion about potential contact underneath it. I think that one looked pretty good to me.
You're calling foul and
at first blush, I did not see a foul from the Italian defender in live action. And I thought the call was a little suspect. Oh, but there was quite a bit of contact.
Yeah, the follow-through is quite...
The follow-through. The question was that disc catchable at that point, and is that minor
he
contact?
tapped away the disc, and I think contact happened afterward. If the contact... And it's not on enough ground to call a foul from my perspective. Because the disc was tapped away. You had the disc?
No, I had a play. Yeah.
No. You had a play. You both had a play. From my perspective, the disc was tapped away before the contact, which means sure.
So disc is there.
Yeah, but where's the foul?
Yeah, you hit it here. Disc is here only.
Okay. Do you think you can reach a resolution?
I don't think so. I mean.
Okay. All right. So it's a foul call and it's contested. Goes back. Okay.
So for me, Ian, it feels like there was an opportunity to make a catch that was just missed before the contact occurred.
I'm with you, and I'm wondering. I didn't clearly hear this articulated from Karan Sharma, but I'm wondering if his view is that the contact impeded his ability to make a play on a second effort after his initial miss. Again, I'm speculating. I could understand why Gasparini and others might be frustrated. There was definitely contact, but it looked like it preceded the miss of the catch opportunity.
Well, we're going to get almost an action replay, but that one is just going to be a little bit too far. This time, it's Manapan going into the end zone. So when India find themselves in a squeeze, they do love to try and boost it and use their speed.
Yeah, that right-handed backhand sideline, cross field to that opposite end zone position, they've hit that shot multiple times throughout this game. And look at this now. In Italy, a chance to march the length of the field with an upwind break and take a lead.
Well, it's going to be Rossi underneath it with the sky battle. Oh, just not quite enough backup. Gaia Pancotti was in the area, but just not quite able to make the reaction recovery. Of course, the Italians need one break extra to take the victory. And they've had so many chances in this second half, but not able to convert it. That is a very low break conversion, and a foul call on Seba Rossi. Of course, when possession is still retained by the player of the disc becomes an extension of their body. So let's get a look.
Yeah, it looked like the Indian offensive player had not yet released the disc, and Rossi slapped it to the ground while it was still in his hand. I'd love to see Rossi appeal to the video board more and understand.
I just want a perspective from outside. Maybe not from my teammates, but for someone
for me,
even you.
yes. To me, I saw you were a little bit close to him. Yeah.
Okay.
And you are maybe initiate contact first. Yeah. No. Because you are very close to him.
Yes,
yeah.
but
that's not the call.
I don't initiate the contact. I just.
The call is not initiating contact.
Was touch the disc. The question is, before or after the throw. That's only the thing that I want to know.
To me, you will sit too close to him, and when he throw, maybe the contact initiate in that time. Yeah.
That's not. No.
Well, it's not a marking violation that's being called.
Yeah,
it's a strip. So well, we'll just talk about the idea. It's, you know, regardless of the positioning, I think the key part of the GA's input there is it looked like it was before the throw.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what the GA felt the GA saw.
Either way, clear to us on our camera angle replay, and that one will be accepted. I am enjoying, though, the Karan Sharma-Sebastian Rossi matchup. Those two having a great tussle out here. It's a good, solid knee slide Guitar Hero style, but a pit call. And another stoppage. I have to say, India dealing very well with any of the stoppages in this game. Very rarely do they come out cold. A little bit clustered towards that far sideline, though.
Wonderful defense there from Mastroianni, forcing this punt. That turnover, all on the back of Andrea Mastroianni's phenomenal dump defense.
And now another opportunity to try and rip it into the breeze. This time it will be the job of Arturo Laffi rather than Mastroianni, who's taken a lot of that workload at the attempt.
Mastroianni just canceling out any hope of a reset there. And conversely smart of the Indians to just take a shot to the end zone.
So, Laffi in that faded 5 panel will be matched up with, and India continuing to play person defense. Seba Rossi opening that up to Mastroianni. Oh, fantastic layout grab. Now the rest of the pack supporting. Huge opportunity here. Can they make the most of it? Laffi has Pancotti screeching towards the front cone, and that will be the Italian break to take the lead for the first time in this game.
This Italian side has been through the ringer in this game. They've been frustrated with each other. They've made uncharacteristic mistakes. Yes, I'm going to use that cliche right there. They've had to adjust their strategy. They've had to persevere through some of the most challenging wind conditions that we've seen at this field complex all weekend long. And now, here they are on the doorstep of a victory with a critical late game upwind break to give them the first lead of this game.
Well, a timeout being taken on the field, perhaps by Team India. Italy, though, taking charge for the first time, eking it out by 1, 13-12. Italy taking the lead, late stages here in the second half. Just that one break extra, the crucial factor needed to take the victory here as we get to wrap up the mixed initial pool stages. Both of these opponents, of course, cruising through to the power pool stage, but this result will carry through and help in the overall performance for the standings. India rising at the World Ultimate Championships here on the Gold Coast, but the expected favourites, the 5th seed versus the 17th seed matchup. Italy starting to really cook with gas. Nakla through to Tapsi. Starting off with a horizontal format, trying to isolate the keys. Sharma now. I don't think Sevarossi will stop marking him, perhaps for the rest of the game. Thinking for that inside shot, going over the top rather than across, and that's a huge play. Bad skies for the Italians, but Karan Sharma going up high and taking that one very quickly indeed.
Put this man on the all-tournament team right away. He has been lighting up the stat sheet, taking defenders to the house, and his chemistry with his teammates is undeniable. Karan Sharma turning in a performance for the ages. 10 scores in this incredibly windy contest. And how about the chemistry that he's got with Ankit Lakra? That cut developed at midfield. As we take a look at the progression here, the Indians are going to swing the disc. There's the disc in the hands of Sharma, and then Lakra goes up line. And let's pause it right here if we can. Take a look at the receiver right here. That's Sharma. There's eye contact here from Lakra. Right here at midfield, he's just going to take off. Has his eyes on him the whole way. It's like an American football quarterback just eyeing a back shoulder throw from a sneaky spot. Unbelievable to see that opportunity develop from so far away. Fantastic execution by Lakra and Sharma.
Well, big shout out to all of the Surat community back home in India. I'm sure they'll be watching this. We know they've been organising watch parties, and of course that New Delhi connection as well. But the Italians, a nose in front here as we edge closer to the tape. Of course, maximum score pat 15, but Helena Bengi with a costly drop and a huge opportunity for Team India to rise again with the win behind them. Can they keep the patience? Big poach off for the underneath. That one a little bit too high, and the pressure there. Lafiata on the back, and that one just slips out of the fingers. Lafi now with Bengi trotting up line, has the reset through. That one a bit slicier. But behind the back of Lafiata, nothing she can do about that. Girotto just with the miscue and immediately exploding to the end zone. I'm wondering if there might be a call on that one. No, clean enough. Just taking the moments to recover in the end zone. But the big man, Andrea Fantini, again, huge impact so far in this game. And that will be 2 blocks to his tally.
Make a one layout, let's go!
Laffy, as we see the head coach getting emphatic on the sidelines.
Yeah, calling for a switch between the female matching defenders.
Fantini, a little lost for options, but a nice little stutter from Laffy. Laffiata now squeezing it through. Fantini. Italy just being forced to run up that far sideline. Big backhand breaks now. Flow all the way. Oh, Ginotto fires it, blading into the end zone, and no one can read that one. Very difficult in the conditions to get that for sure.
Oh, we've got an Indian player taking an injury, grabbing their calf. Not sure if it's a cramp situation, but I believe that was Nona Godino.
Another look at that lefty blade. Shows the underside of the disc to the wind. We've seen a couple of executions during the course of this match, Ian, that have been absolutely phenomenal to avoid that effect. Just keeping the tilt absolutely on the perfect angle. That one just taken away. And so the time allotted to this game, 100 minutes of regulation play, expires. So a guaranteed game to 15 regardless. But will it be a very late stage break for India? They send it towards the end zone. Of course, that's got to be the play here, and it will trickle out of bounds. But playing for yards in these intense moments, nothing wrong with that.
Fully on board with that strategic decision. You're going to turn it over, give a receiver a deep opportunity, and turn it over as far away from your own goal line as you can.
And Ankin Glakra was definitely had an opportunity there. Big yards. Laffiata peeling off the assignment just to make sure, and you do like to see that awareness. So Italy shooting against the breeze. Laffiata pops that through to Bengi, but there's the drop. You could see the last bit of positional change of the disc as she tried to call that one in, and a shorter field now for this break chance. Number 2, but a drop of their own. Ankit Lakra this time. So the Italians doing exactly the same as Team India, trying to be expansive with the initial shot. Oh, that is good, and it will be taken. The Italians hold. Seba Rossi throwing against the breeze, and Andrea Fantini eating another 4 goals in this game. Huge.
That is a backbreaker for the Indians, who had multiple opportunities on that point. Of course, they were the product of gifts from the Italians, but my goodness, the Italians just finding the way to counterattack quickly with the game at its most tense sequences. And the challenge here for the Indians is, think about how much gas was just spent by the likes of Lakra and Sharma on that point. And now that group is going to have to find a way to execute going upwind.
Well, and also I think it's certainly part of the storyline for Team India is that shoulder injury that was earlier on. Krishna Damore unable to return to the field. I didn't quite see, I think, how severe that one was. Although, is that him out on the field? Hold on, number 10. We'll have to find out, folks. The starting 7 for this next point coming out. But certainly that was a big old bosh to the shoulder that took quite a lot of time. And that will take some of the wind out of your sails as a team. But a big Italian D-line now charging down the field. An out-of-bounds pull, way out of bounds, should we say. But almost hitting the Portaloos behind the stands.
Let's get them a new disc if that's the case, right?
Absolutely. So, starting from the brick mark, and who else isolated in front of it? Karan Sharma looking to start things off. And this time, not Sebastian Rossi as the matchup. It's Riccardo Venturoli. But they move across to Gorino to start things off. Who's got the matchup from Pancotti, but that will slip through the fingertips to Shmatapse. Unable to connect. So the opportunity, match point in front of us. Pancotti hangs on to that one that's leathered with pace. Mastroianni. Cheeky little dish. Simone Gasparini. Now through. And just trotting forward, gently squeezing it over the goal line. And oh my goodness, Venturoli, the easiest pass for the goal. Just that tiny window and a soft backhand. What a finish to this match, Ian. The Italians finally finding their form.
Unbelievable effort, Hannah, from both sides. You mentioned the ability of a team down 8-5 to be in a very threatening position and come back, and the Italians rose to the occasion and proved you right. They adjusted their strategy. There were certainly hiccups and mountains to climb throughout the course of that second half, but they played a more field position-oriented game. They battled through the adversity of drops and turfs. They found a way to counterattack more aggressively with their D-line offense. They converted upwind breaks, and they put the pressure on the Indians in the late stages. They earned that victory. It wasn't pretty. They got it done. But at the same time, I just have to tip my cap to this Indian side. They will be advancing to power pools. Anyone who underestimates their ability and what they bring to the table and how they're able to compete is going to be in for one heck of a surprise, because this is a talented group that can hang with the best contenders in the division.
Well, it was almost predestined to be a fantastic match. The flags of nations, India and Italy, positioned from the very beginning of this tournament next to each other, and I'm sure nobody will be surprised if in the eventual standings they are toe-to-toe once we reach the championship bracket stages. I mean, a very turnover-heavy game. You're going to expect it in the wind. As you say, the transition to positional defense of offense was key.
Well, and the story of that second half was the fact that Italy outbroke India after India had the break advantage in the first half, and the wind was only intensifying. The pressure of the game was only intensifying. May have taken multiple turnovers to get there, but Italy found the way to convert and improve its efficiency on that front in the second half. Hats off to Mastroianni, to Girotto, to Fantini and Cantu, and plenty of others who had a hand in making those happen.
And certainly, I think for me, it's really pleasant to see that final point not be played out and not winning the game with a power D-line or a O-line eventually. I think really the mentality across the board. I certainly had concerns about some of the athletes coming out here having a really difficult game this morning. And actually, I think some of the leaders of this Italian mixed team really just bringing the level back down, calming things, showing on the pitch how to get it done. And the impact that's had across the rest of the roster as the late game has developed, for me, I think that has got to be a big story. And one of the players of the match will be trotting towards us. You just see there Andrea Fantini. A huge stats line for this game. 4 goals, 2 assists, but most importantly, 2 very pivotal blocks. Certainly got that run through that caused the first break of the game in favour of Team Italy. So certainly a big job here for this mixed side. And not one of the stars we get to talk about too much. Of course, one of the Rimini players coming across. So, Andrea Fantini, congratulations. How was that game for you as a defender?
No, they are the avenger of India, but we are so angry. We are so angry, and at the end we take this very tough game. And yesterday versus Australia was a very tough game, and today, good morning, another tough game. But the truth is that in this tournament every single game is a tough game. So no problem, we take the game, and I don't know, today we have another game, and probably China Taipei, but I don't know, and it will be another very tough game, and we hope that a lot of work and the second line, I think we can good be very well. We can give our best performance, and in this tournament I don't know if sorry.
Well, I was going to say, Andrea, because of course you come from Costa Rica in Rimini. Many people will know the BFD, the Bologna. Do you have a message for your team back in Rimini?
Sure. My teammates, I love my teammates. I love Rimini. I love Tequila Boom Boom. I love Costa Rica. But I love in this tournament, I love to BFD, and I love La Fotta. I love shout, but be free. I don't know, Bergamo.
Well,
today I'm Italy, I'm not Costa Rica.
Oh yes, but I think they maybe helps with the wind coming from the beach. But thank you so much,
Yes,
Andrea.
sure.
Good luck in your power pool matches. We'll be keeping our eyes on you for sure.
Thank you. Sorry for the English.
It's perfetto. Grazie mille.
Grazie.
Well, Italian flag rising at the last moment, but Team India here to play some serious ball. Absolutely scintillating scenes on that pitch.
The Indians should be incredibly proud of what they've put together, not only in this match, but so far through pool play. Sure, they do fall to 2-2, but they're moving on to power pools, and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with a shot at the bracket on the line.
Well, join us for all that mixed power pool division powering through here at the World Championships. Italy 15, India 13.